Hey, good morning, everyone. As we are back again for another 3 minutes with God. Uh, this morning we'll be looking at still Psalm 105, verse number 9. So let's go ahead and start the timer. So Psalm 105, verse number 9 says, The covenant which he made with Abraham and his oath to Isaac. This verse kind of just is in continuation with verse number 8 as far as God remembering his covenants. And so it's one of those things as um, when we look at the story of Abraham starting in Genesis 12, that in Genesis 12, when God promises Abraham that he will bless him and that he will have a seed and that his descendants will be as numerous as the sand on the seashore, and God tells Abraham to look up to count the stars, and if he can, uh, that will be the amount of his descendants. um, Now here's the thing with Abraham is that he and his wife Sarah uh, didn't have Isaac until uh, it was several decades later, um, that when after the promise. So it's one of those things as God promised him and told him what was going to happen, but it didn't happen to many years later. And so it's one of those things as just because God tells us something, and just because that God promised us some things, and that it doesn't mean that it's going to happen uh, overnight. It doesn't mean only going to take a couple of weeks or a couple of months, but sometimes we just have to wait on God, and that waiting builds our faith and it builds our patience. But it's also one of those things as those times of waiting that God still remembers what He has said. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. Just know that God has not forgotten, that God will always remember. Now, um, if you do recall the Genesis 12, that God takes him to the promised land, and he shows him all of the land, and he takes him through it, and then he allows him to pass through it, and then he moves him somewhere else. And so it's one of those things is that everything that God shows you and everything that God tells you may not always be for you. That even though God made the promise to Abraham, Abraham never really lived in the promised land, that it was for his descendants. And so it's just one of those things as we just need to trust God and believe him, and hold on to his word, because God will never ever let you down. And so that's what the psalmist is saying, that he remembers the covenant which he made with Abraham and his oath to Isaac, that it didn't happen overnight, but they held on to God's word, and in the end, He did make sure that it came to pass. So God bless you and have a great day.